Greetings, brothers and sisters. Now, many of you enjoyed the last section that we did on the Baneful jar spell, and I had a few private messages of individuals that said, how can I take this to the next level? Now, a lot of Baneful work and a lot of magical work is what's known as layers. That magic sometimes is a process. So if you're doing Baneful magic, you're going to want to do sometimes, in some instances, more than one ritual or more than one spell. And that's what this is here. This right here is the same jar spell as last time. This is if you want to take what we did last time and expand upon it and further the Baneful process, doing layered work. So, like I said in the last video, follow the Baneful jar spell, do that spell, do that ritual, place your black candle on top that's been anointed in some type of Baneful oil. I've used my Baneful Elixir, you can use bat blood, you can use doom oil, whatever, that's entirely up to you. So let's get into it, let's see what we've got here. Okay, so this is the setup. Firstly, latex gloves. As we previously discussed, you're going to want your mask also for some safety. Now, another thing that you will need, or might want to get your hands on, is a plate. Either a plate or bowl, because you are going to be making some mess here with some ingredients that you don't want to tip everywhere, okay? The sigil of Asmodeus. The sigil of Abaddon. You're going to need, of course, your previous Baneful jar spell. Now, I've also got this very long nail right here. On top of that, I don't know if you can see this, but I've got these two smaller nails right here. These are crooked ones. Two on that sigil. And two on that sigil. Right here we also have Goofer Dust, and we have Asophedia, also known as Devil's Dung. We've got, you can either choose to use a regular Baneful oil, such as Doom oil or any dark arts oil that's for Baneful rituals. So that's batch blood oil right there. But I always opt for my Baneful Elixir. Now, another very important thing to use is this right here. Now, this is Playdough. You can also use clay. And we'll be using this to create the effigy or the doll, the image of the client. Sorry, not the client, the target. So let's get into it. That's all we're going to need. So we're now taking things to a more advanced level. Right, so what we're going to begin with is calling forth your entities. You've got the two sigils, the two entities. We're going to begin. The reason why this isn't just a random pairing of two entities. No, these are two gatekeepers. If you're familiar with the 9 demonic gatekeeper path working, these are two gatekeepers in that path working. Abaddon and Asmodeus. Not only that, but these two are the most destructive of all the other gatekeepers. You know, you have Abaddon, who is literally known as the Destroyer. And you have Asmodeus, who is known as the destroying god of the Clip-Off. Okay, so let's get into it. What we're going to do is I'm going to be gazing into the sigil of Abaddon. And the reason I'm using a inverted pentagram here, it was because it was recommended to me by the spirits themselves. Now, when you're doing Baneful workings, if you're doing it centered within a inverted pentagram, Put your plate in the center. What happens is you're basically centering your works within the symbol of darkness. Now I've also got this candle lit here. This candle, I'm now going to let that go out. We won't be needing that, but I will be lighting the jar spell. That's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to light the jar spell. And when we light it, we're going to take note of all the energies that are contained within the jar spell, as well as the energy of your target in the jar spell, and that baneful curse that is in there. And I'm just going to move this here. Perfect. Now you're going to want to take your Play-Doh or your clay and begin molding it. It may be a bit difficult to do this with the latex gloves on. All we're molding it into is the body of your target. That's what we're molding it into. Don't worry about being super artsy with this. You're just trying to get the representation of the shape of the body of your target. It hasn't got to be 100% accurate, but try and get it as accurate as possible, that your skills will allow at least. And as I'm molding this, I'm visualizing my target in my mind. I'm feeling the energy of the target contained within the jar spell before me. People often worry while doing these rituals, especially when it comes to idolatry work. Sorry, when it comes to effigies, as it can be quite difficult for some people to do these things, to create these bodies, if you will. If your actual target is overweight, then actually create a image of the individual that is also overweight. My client isn't, my target isn't. My target is actually quite thin. Don't worry about, like I said, don't worry about the proportions. You can create some hair. You can go in with tools to create faces, to create the details of the face. You can also add a penis if it's a man, or not. You can add a vagina. You can add strands of hair. Try and also do the face. So to do this, to do the face, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking my nail. I'm going to be digging in there. I'm going to start doing the face real quick. So I'll just do the eyes right here. Like I said, you ain't doing a portrait, you know, so you can just poke holes in the face. You can also go in here and begin engraving the name of your target. On the actual doll itself. Now, whether you're using clay or Play-Doh or wax, it does not matter. I'm using Play-Doh because that's what's available. Now, you can extend in the leg more, just to give it that more of a realistic look. And like I said, you don't have to be too artistic with this. This will do. This will do. And I will also state that the clay beforehand, I had taken a picture of the target. I had meditated on it, increasing the energy of inside the likeness of the image, pulling the image, the energy of the target through the image. And then I burnt the image and then rubbed the ashes into the Play-Doh, actually infusing the Play-Doh with the energies of the target beforehand. Okay, now we can begin calling forth the entity. I'm going to start with Asmodeus. I'm just going to lean this up against the actual jar spell. I'm going to begin gazing into the jar, into the sigil. I'm going to begin opening it. Asmodeus, Asmodei, Asmodeus, Asmodei, Aishma, Ashmadai. I speak your many names. Asmodeus, Asmodei, Ashmadai, Aishma. I call and I summon you forth before me. I call you forth and I bid you welcome into this temple. Come, the burning one, devil upon two sticks, the Lord of lust, King of pain and wrath, demon of wrath, Diva the bloody mace, come forth now, come forth. Asmodei, come. Aishma, come. Ashmadai, come. The destroying god of the Clip-Off, come. Now that sigil is opened, I'll place it on this end and get your two smaller nails, gaze into the sigil, and I can feel the essence of Asmodeus trickle into the area rather quickly. And I'm going to push my intention into the seal. And my intention is to take the energies of Asmodeus and the power of Asmodeus and to house them within these nails. Before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tiny amount of the Baneful Elixir. I'm going to anoint the tips. Baneful Elixir, I activate you. Ram, Ham, Sathalas, I activate you. Anoint this metal, anoint the tips, and infuse your dark power into them. Infuse your dark power into them. As I place that, place two of them on the sigil. I'm going to hold my hands over them. I'm going to speak this intention. Asmodeus, Ashmadai, Aishma, Asmodei. I place these anointed nails upon your seal and upon your sign, marked with the Baneful Elixir. Infuse your power into the creatures of metal before me. House your spirit and your essence into them. Asmodeus. And as I've done that, I visualize the energy of this particular spirit being infused, leaking from the sigil, leaking from the area into the metals and into the tips and into those nails. And I'm going to leave them on there now. You could do this a couple hours beforehand, or if you wanted to take this a couple steps further, you could do this a couple days beforehand. And now we'll call forth Abaddon. Once again, place this against the jar spell here. Gazing into the sigil. That opened rather quickly. Abaddon, he who holds the key to the bottomless pit, King of locusts, Abaddon, come, gatekeeper of the abyss, the black plague that rips apart realities, come, angel of death, harbinger of annihilation, Abaddon, the destroyer, I call and summon you forth to come. I bid you welcome into this temple. Abaddon, come. Abaddon, come. Abaddon, come. Abaddon, come. Abaddon, come. The sigil's opened and I can feel the first stages of spiritual manifestation. Those first stages are a heavy blanket-like manifestation into the area. Once again, going to anoint these our two nails. Baneful Elixir, I activate you to anoint these nails, to infuse your baneful energy and power into them. Ram Ham Satalas, Ram Ham Satalas. This is where your curses and your hexes and your baneful magic now is taking a whole new turn, becoming more adept, more advanced. I'm going to hold my hand over the sigil. Abaddon, the destroyer, infuse your power, infuse your spirit, infuse your energy, infuse your essence into these nails, into this creature of metal. Consecrate them with your power. Abaddon, Abaddon. And if you hold both hands over these sigils, you'll begin feeling, I'm feeling like a vortex essence. Only it's not going clockwise, it's going counterclockwise. It's like it's pulling the essence of the energy of the entities that have distilled into the area. It's pulling them down into the seals and down into the nails, which is perfect. We're going to leave them charged for now. Okay? And what we're going to do now is we're going to take this on the plate, and you're going to gaze into it, visualizing your target, visualizing that that's their body, almost as if you are a giant at this point. This is where your imagination should come into play. It's almost like you're a giant at this point and you've actually got their body in front of you. speak their name. I'm going to speak my target's name internally. I bind you. I bind you to your likeness, and I bind you to this image. I bind you to this effigy. I bind you to this doll. I bind you to this symbol. State their name again. I bind you to this doll. It can be as simple as that. I bind you, you are bound to this likeness. Your hidden face is shown, your name is spoken, revealed to me. Pull through this image, pull through this image. I bind you, I bind you, I bind you, I bind you. And I'm actually scrying. I've activated my scrying vision, I'm scrying into it. And where you would have the scrying mist over like a black mirror or a bowl of water, that's what I'm seeing here. Only the entire doll is covered. There's just scrying mist. I cannot see the image at this point. Only through the scrying mist can I see the body of my target. Arms out and legs out. Now at this point, gaze into the flame of your curse, to the baneful candle. Visualizing what we're trying to accomplish here. Hand out to it. I visualize a blackness emanating from the gunk and the filth of this jar spell up into the candle, through the wax, into the flame, literally turning the flame itself black. And pull that energy into the doll. Visualize a continuous ray emanating into the doll. Create that energetic connection going back and forth with your hand. And now that's done, take a nail, one of them from Asmodeus and the other from Abaddon, and we're going to bind the hands and feet of our target. Take the one from Asmodeus, place it near the hand or the arm of the image, and state their name. I bind your hand, I bind you now. By the spike that pierces your body, pierces your mind, and pierces your soul. I bind your left hand with the spike of Asmodeus. And as you begin driving that in, push your hatred and anger into the nail and begin seeing their face screaming in agony. And visualize the power that is contained within that nail emanate through their being. Like a needle, like a spiritual needle covered in poison, and injecting them into the left hand. Same with the right hand now. State their name. I bind you. I bind your right hand by the spike, by the nail of Abaddon. I bind you. I bind your body, your heart, your mind, and your soul. pushing that wrathful energy that we worked on in the first section through your hand, through the nail, and then pushing that in. Gazing at it once again, seeing your target scream there, binding them hand by hand like a stigmata. Take the other two. And for these lower two, allow them to touch the baneful flame, and this flame is actually emanating that energy of the curse. Put the tips in there, heating them up. State your target's name. I bind your left foot. I bind you down, I hold you down by the spike of Asmodeus, by the nail of Asmodeus, by his power and his name. I bind you, I bind you, I bind you. See them writhing in pain and agony. Heat this up again. And the same on the other side. State their name. I bind your right foot. I bind your heart, body, mind and soul with the nail and with the spike of Abaddon. I bind you in his name and his power. I bind you, bind you, bind you. Hand over and state, you have been bound by your hands and your feet. Spikes of the demons, of the two destroyers, driven through you. Pierced into your being. You are weak now and you are susceptible to my will. So it shall be. So it shall be. So it shall be. Now at this point I would definitely recommend putting on your mask. Now the target is bound before you. You're going to begin by taking a pinch of both the Asophedia and the Goofer Dust, and put a pinch of this. Put a pinch of the Asophedia into the chest area, into the throat area, into the third eye area, and into the crown of the head. Basically, we are marking the chakras of the doll. Into the solar plexus area, into the navel, or the sacral chakra area, and into the root chakra area. And we'll take this a step further by also covering the nails where the hands and the feet are. So I've started with the Goofer Dust. If you're going to be handling the Goofer Dust like me, you better have gloves on. I am serious. I am deadly serious here. Deadly serious. That isn't something to play around with. And then the Asophedia. in the same places. And this is why we're using a plate, because when it comes to Goofer Dust, you could actually end up spilling it and actually cursing that area. Which is something that, believe me, you don't want to do. So, the crown chakra, the third eye chakra, the throat chakra, the chest chakra, all the chakras, and the hands and the feet are also covered in this now. Hands over. State their name. I will state my target's name internally. I have marked your crown, your third eye, your throat chakra, your heart chakra, your solar plexus, your sacral chakra, your root chakra, your hands, your feet. I have marked you and have poisoned you by devil's dung, creature of devil's dung, spirit of Asophedia. Infect them, poison them, corrupt them, destroy him from the inside out. Creature of Goofer Dust, creature and spirit of the baneful Goofer Dust, poison, inflict, harm and destroy him from the inside out. We're going to take this a step further. We will then take the Baneful Elixir or any other type of Baneful oil you might be using. But this is, as I've said before, extremely powerful. Baneful Elixir by the powers of the 9 demonic gatekeepers. I activate you, Ram Ham Satalas, in order to be the venomous droplets of spiritual, physical, mental and emotional poison. I poison your crown. Poisoned you are. I poison your third eye. Poisoned you are. I poison the throat chakra. Poisoned you are. I poison the heart chakra. Poisoned you are. I poison the solar plexus. Poisoned you are. The sacral. The root. Poisoned you are. I poison your hands. Poisoned you are. I poison your feet. Poisoned you are. And then I'll begin actually just drenching the entire image. I drown you in the venomous elixir of torment, misfortune, suffering. At this point, gazing at the doll, visualizing the life of the target, draining away, withering away. All their fortune becomes misfortune, all their love becomes loneliness, all their strength becomes weakness, all their light becomes darkness, their health and vitality becomes sickness, their relationships become but distant memories, their finances and security become that of nothing. state their name. Asmodeus Abaddon, I call you to rise now. I summon and conjure you forth. Come, rise to this temple. Dark rivers, two destroyers, wield your scepters, wield your power, your wrath and destruction, and annihilate. And then say your target's name. And visualize or feel or see that power being drawn down to the doll. To the clay, to the Playdough. And close your eyes and see and feel that power. Take your long nail at this point. I'm going to douse this, completely anoint this in the Baneful Elixir. And I'm going to charge it with the energies of this curse, of the jar spell, pulling and siphoning some of its energy through its flame and its heat and transferring it through the metal. And visualizing the darkness of both Abaddon and Asmodeus rise above me as a fiery blackness. Hold the nail up. Gather that wrathful power within you. Asmodeus Abaddon. I pull you into this spike, I pull you into this nail, I pull you into this metal, I house you within this spike, I house you within this needle of hatred, I house you in this sword of vengeance, in this knife and this dagger of destruction and annihilation. Destroy him. And push that down with your anger. And jab it through the center. Pulling all that power into the nail and jabbing it through. Madness and blackness, pain and suffering, misery and misfortune, chaos and hatred and vengeance. All cast upon you now. All cast upon you now. Abaddon, Asmodeus, impale him, impale him, impale him. At this point, place the two sigils, if you can, on the jar spell in front of you. And gaze into the flame. Gaze into the flame. Feeling the energies of that curse and this curse and the sigils and the ingredients and the elixirs and the nails and everything combined in unison. And any more hatred you may have, expel it now to the entirety of these implements. I annihilate you. So it is done. So it is done. So it is done. I leave that sit on the altar or on the workspace. This isn't my altar, this is just a workspace that I dedicated. My altar is right here. And leave that now. Leave it accumulate. Leave the candle to burn. This is what you should sort of be left with. At this point, you should be sitting here, expelling all the hatred, all your wrath, expelling that energy of emotional wrath, pushing your intent further into the sigils, into the flame, clarifying the image, meditating upon this, meditate upon this. Once all is done, be sure to clean the area thoroughly. Try to do some cleansings. Cleanse the area, purify the area. This should be an obvious thing to do. Burn the sigils. Once the candle is fully burnt down, wrap that up. You can also take the doll and you can add it to another mason jar. You can put in lemon juice, you can put in vinegar, you can put in war water, whatever, and throw that in there. Or you can just wrap it up in black cloth, or throw it all together in a box and bury it in a cemetery. Or just bury it in the earth. Or burn it all, which would be the best thing to do. Burn it all. Burn it all in a fire. Call upon the forces that you worked with on this individual. This is when you get into more depth forms of baneful magic. This is combining various forms of magic here. Partly evocation, sigillic magic. You know, we're using substances like elixirs, Goofer Dust, Asophedia. We're using a variety of things and a variety of methods. But they all come together in unison to form a devastating blow. This is critical. Don't worry about it. Move on. Unless, of course, you want to take this in another direction. But I would recommend that you use this as the curse to end all curses. At least for this point. And there is another thing you can do, which is extremely powerful, but it's not entirely necessary. You can take this plate outside. You can tip the man off on the ground. Grab your athame and build all your hatred into it. And begin slashing, cutting, destroying, spitting, screaming and cursing, swearing at the doll. That's an intense way to invest all that power, all that hatred, all that energy into the likeness and image and the effigy of your target. That's all for today. Till we meet again. Goodbye for now.